welcome back to Unimonks. My name is Padmanjali Chauhan and I'll be teaching you for the CUET history domain. Today, we're going to start with our fifth unit of the syllabus, Medieval Society through Travelers' Accounts. Alright, now, why are these accounts important? Right, we've talked about this previously, especially when we were talking about the inscriptions. Inscriptions and other historical sources don't really talk about the mundane life of the people, right? The life of the ordinary people, what they did on a day-to-day basis, right? The daily routine, okay? Which is important to understand the society of the time, the social practices of the time, right? To understand whether the things that were written in the Sanskrit book, the rules that were written in the Sanskrit books were followed to the T or not, right? Now, this didn't happen. This wasn't written by the people of our society, okay, or by court historians, by court poets, nothing like that, okay. But these were taken down by travelers. Why did travelers take these routine practices? Why did they write them down? Because these practices were unfamiliar to them, right? All of these practices of mundane daily use, of daily practice were very intriguing to them because they were not familiar with these practices, right? They saw these practices taking place for the first time in their life, right? So these accounts are important to us, number one, because they give us insight into routine matters, alright? Number two, obviously, they give us records of the affairs of the court, of religious issues, of architectural and monumental features, etc., right? They talk about the empire, about kingdoms, but they also talk about stuff of routine matter, alright? Now, in this chapter, we're going to focus on three travelers mainly. Number one, Al-Biruni. After him comes Ibn Battuta. And lastly, Francois Bernier, alright? Now, let's start with Al-Biruni. Al-Biruni and the Kitab-ul-Hind, alright? His journey, let's start with his journey from Khwarazm to Punjab. Now, Al-Biruni was born in 973 in Khwarazm, Uzbekistan, alright? He received the best education available at the time. He learned Syriac, Arabic, Persian, Hebrew, Sanskrit. He even learned teachings of Plato, mathematics, geometry, astronomy, everything, alright? Now, in 1017, the Mahmud of Ghazni attacked Khwarazm, alright? He attacked Khwarazm, he took over the area and he took all the scholars from Khwarazm, okay, back to his capital Ghazni, alright? Now, one of these scholars was Al-Biruni. So in 1017, he was taken to Ghazni by Sultan Mahmud, alright? Gradually, he developed a liking for the city, right? He did not have a choice. He could not go back to Khwarazm, and therefore, out of necessity, he sort of started falling in love with the city of Ghazni, okay? And by that, I mean, he spent the rest of his life there, okay? Whatever little time he spent traveling, he came back and spent the rest of his life in Ghazni, okay? Now, when he became a part of the court of the Sultan of Ghazni, he started taking interest in India, right? Because he heard about this beautiful land, okay, with rich resources, with beautiful geography, okay, all of that. And therefore, when the Ghaznavid Empire took over parts of India, he visited Punjab, okay? Now, this is Al-Biruni, okay? This fellow right here, he's Al-Biruni, okay? This is what he looked like. Now, what did he do when he visited India? He spent years with Brahmin priests, alright? He learned Sanskrit, he studied religious and philosophical texts, and from that came out the Kitab-ul-Hind, alright? Now, this is incorrect, K-U-H, okay? The Kitab-ul-Hind is written in Arabic and it is very simple and lucid, alright? It's very simple to understand, it's very lucid language, it's free-flowing, okay? Not very difficult, even an ordinary man could understand what he's talking about, okay? So it was very accessible that way. Now, it is a voluminous text, okay? It is divided into 80 chapters. That is a thick book, alright? Now, The chapters, what do they cover? What do they talk about? Religion and philosophy, festivals that happened in India, right? All of this is very intriguing to them, right? They hadn't seen the festivals that are celebrated in India anywhere outside, okay, anywhere in the known world that they traveled in, correct? So astronomy, alchemy, manners and customs, social life, weights and measures, iconography, laws, and meteorology, all right? Now, what was the structure of the book? Okay, how was it? We've discussed so many chapters, writing about so many things, but exactly how was the book written? Okay, so now generally, this is not always, but generally the structure of each chapter goes something like this. It starts with a question. Okay, he asks some sort of question like, why this festival? What does this festival signify to these people? Okay. Then he follows it with a description based on Sanskritic traditions, okay, traditions that he's read about, traditions that he's probably seen, okay. Then he concluded with a comparison with other cultures, okay. Simple enough to understand, right? He compared whatever he saw in India to what he's already seen in other parts of the world, okay, in other cultures, okay, in order to draw some sort of conclusion, okay. Now, the structure of each chapter, the structure of the book is generally owed to his mathematical orientation, right? As I told you earlier, he studied mathematics, right? Therefore, he was so systematic about each chapter, essentially. He was so systematic about the book because of his mathematical orientation. Okay? Now, our next traveler is Ibn Battuta, and his book is called Rihla. Okay? Rihla was written in the 14th century. Ibn Battuta was a Moroccan traveler born in Tangier, alright? B-O-R-N, sorry. He was born in Tangier. He came from a very educated family. They were experts in Islamic law called Sharia, alright? Now, before India, he traveled whatever he knew about, whatever the known world was, okay? He traveled through all of it. He traveled through Syria, Persia, Iraq, Yemen, Oman, and even to East African ports. So this man was a learned man, alright? This man was a well-traveled man. He was a seasoned traveler, okay? Now, he came to Sindh in 1333, alright? Okay. He came to Sindh or to India, or the Indian subcontinent, because he'd heard of Tughlaq, the ruler of Delhi, okay? He'd heard his reputation as a generous patron of arts, and that is what led Ibn Battuta to come to Delhi, okay? The Sultan was very impressed by him, okay? He was impressed by his qualifications, how educated he was impressed by his personality, and therefore he appointed him as Qazi of the kingdom, okay? Qazi or judge. Judge as in a judicial judge, okay? Someone who provides justice, okay? That judge, okay? Now, he was a Qazi in the imperial service till he fell out of favor. There's some conspiracy took place, alright? The Sultan became suspicious of Ibn Battuta and therefore he threw him into jail, okay? But some time passed, okay? The misunderstanding was cleared, okay? And Ibn Battuta was restored to imperial service. Now, once this happened, he was sent on a journey to China in 1342, okay? He was sent to China in 1342 with a Mongol envoy, okay? Now, let's look into his journey. What journey did he take place? How did he travel? Where did he travel through? Alright, all of that, okay? Now, from Delhi, he proceeded to the Malabar coast through central India, alright? From the Malabar, he went to the Maldives. Over there, he stayed for 18 months as a Qazi, okay? From Maldives, he proceeded to Sri Lanka, okay? Now, after staying in Sri Lanka, he went back to the Malabar coast, went back to Maldives once again, did that little round and resumed his journey, okay? Now, when he resumed his journey, he visited Bengal and Assam and after that took a ship to Sumatra, okay? From Sumatra, he went to the Chinese port Zaytun, which is now called Quanzhou. Okay? He traveled extensively in China as well once he reached there, going as far as Beijing. Alright? He returned home finally in 1347. 5 years. I told you previously his journey started in 1342, right? Ended in 1347. That means he traveled for a grand total of 5 years. Okay, he spent a lot of time traveling as an officer of the imperial service under the Tughlaq dynasty. Okay, now this is a map to make it easier for you to understand what his travel was like. Okay, so now started in Delhi, went through central India, all the way to the Malabar coast, reached Calicut, right? Calicut is on the Malabar coast. Now, Assam other side, okay? Now, from Calicut, he went to the Maldives Islands, okay? Stayed there, went to Sri Lanka, did a little chakkar, came back to the Malabar coast, went back to Maldives. Now, from Maldives, he went to Chittagong, alright? Chittagong is currently in Bangladesh. Chittagong, he did the Bengal, Assam, and from there, he went to Sumatra, right? Over here, we talked about it previously. Now, from Sumatra, he went up into the South China Sea and therefore reaching to Quanzhou. Okay? From Quanzhou, he went to Guangzhou and walked up all the way to Beijing. Okay? Understood? Easy for you to now imagine what his travel looked like? Great. Okay, now he recorded his observations meticulously, alright? Whatever new cultures he experienced, the people he met, the beliefs that he saw, the values that these people had, all of it, okay? The travel at the time was very arduous, okay? It was very hazardous, it was very dangerous, okay? We all know this. You could, while you're traveling in the sea, you could get hit by pirates while you're traveling on the roads. Dacoits and robbers are always there, okay? It was very difficult. It was very, very dangerous for a person's life especially, okay? Ibn Battuta, while he was doing all this traveling, he was attacked several times by robbers. And there was a time where some people of his envoy even lost their lives because of these attacks, okay? Now, after returning to Morocco, after all of this journey got over, he went back home to Morocco. Now, when he returned to Morocco, the local ruler of the time issued instructions for his stories, for whatever he's written, his accounts, to be published, so that the entire world could know about them. Alright? Okay. That's it for today. In the next class, we're going to talk a little bit more about Ibn Battuta, about Francois Bernier. Alright? If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Tell me in the comments down below if you want to know something else, want me to go a little bit more into detail about this. If you have any questions to ask, go right ahead. And for more such informational content, subscribe to Unimonks. Thank you for watching. Bye.